I'd like to talk about the difference between inclusive, welcoming and affirming. So most covens in modern Wicca are welcoming towards LGBT people and people of colour and disabled people. However, they don't necessarily, whilst they might be welcoming, they don't necessarily make an effort to change what they do to make sure that those categories are included. So when you're including people, you want to try and understand what their needs are and modify or expand what you're doing in order to make it work for those people. And then the third category is affirming. So when you affirm somebody, that's kind of like the full level of inclusion, and it's where you're affirming their identity and you're affirming their worth and their equal participation. Now, when I coined the phrase inclusive Wicca, I meant affirming as well, just in case anyone had any doubts on that matter. And I hadn't heard of the concept of affirming at that point. But obviously, if you're going to include people, that means including them on all levels and inviting them to participate equally in whatever it is you're doing and have an equal say in how that goes. So obviously there's a difference between inclusive in the sense of, we're going to say, rather than saying as the cup is to the male, no, other way around, as the cup is to the female, so the Athame is to the male, saying lover and beloved instead, and not making people stand boy girl in the circle, all of which I go into detail on in my video on inclusive Wicca, and other things that we might be doing that are not including people, to modify and expand those to make it work for everyone. And so being welcoming is, we are happy to have marginalised people in our group, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're actually going to change anything to accommodate them, so actually that's not very helpful. And so being inclusive is actually modifying things to accommodate people, and also hopefully being affirming as well. So if your coven meets these criteria and you have a website or a listing where you state that your coven is open to new members, I would like to invite you, quite strongly recommend in fact, to mention that you are inclusive to marginalised groups, and also specify which marginalised groups you are being inclusive towards, so that the people who might apply to your group from those marginalised groups know that you are ready to accommodate and include and affirm them, and that you're not just going to be doing the same old that excludes them. Because I was looking at a listing site the other day, and I was looking in an area that I know pretty well, and I could see covens that I know to be inclusive who hadn't actually listed themselves as inclusive. So don't hide your light under a bushel, folks. Please mention that you're inclusive in your listing. Thank you, and blessed be.